You look fire.
We're all good. We're all live.
Yeah. Rocking and rolling.
Hell yeah. Hyped to have you boys on.
Let's go.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Closers Only. This one's a real treat. We got two actual high-ticket closers in the building today.
Live.
Two absolute legends.
Live. Let's go.
Been living out with these guys in Mexico for the last few weeks, watching you guys close deals. It's pretty cool to see. What was one of those like unlocks where at this point you look back and you're like, wow, like I really didn't know that, about sales when I kind of got into it?
I would definitely say the most eye-opening for me, I don't know if it's off the beaten path, but it's that sales is service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And coming from a service industry, which we'll talk about, I always thought of salespeople as like this pushy, like that classic generic like car salesman guy trying to convince someone to buy something they don't need. And when I really got into it and actually met good coaches, I realized that sales was the highest form of service you could have, and especially if you're selling a product that's going to benefit people, you're actually serving them to the highest potential by not pushing them, but motivating them to make a decision that is actually in their best interest to do, whether it's uncomfortable or not. So it's the service behind it instead of the manipulation that I think people get a little bit construed. That would be my biggest layup for sure.
Yeah. I would actually piggyback off that because when I started selling insurance, I initially did really well, but I didn't know a lot of it, which we'll probably get into, like the backstory. But I was basically just like there to like make money. And so I got a lot of like natural like sales ability from my mom, I would say. And so how she always sold was in a consultative style of manner, kind of what Justin is saying is just like from a place of service always, not like I'm trying to get your money. And so the kind of core belief that I've instilled in how I've succeeded in sales now is by like you absolutely have to believe wholly 100% in what you're doing, and that is like the vehicle or mechanism that's going to get so-and-so prospect to where they want to be. So I'd say that's like my grounding belief is that you can't get into this game and like have any ill thoughts or like questions of like, hey, this is going to work, like da-da-da, like you got to be the one to like hold frame and like actually deter people, which is going to attract more. And so I would just say like you got to be 150% bought into what it is that you're doing.
Nice.
And the vehicle that you're getting at.
I love that. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are both kind of saying a similar thing. And obviously as humans, like most communication is subconscious and it's like nonverbal, right? It's all these micro things. And so if you're coming into a sales call and you don't actually believe in what you're selling and you're trying to say the right script and frame it the right way and have the right tonality and pauses, like you're just playing the game on hard mode. If you actually believe in what you're selling and you know it's best for this person to buy this product, like everything about your body language, your tonality, 100%. your word choice is going to scream that because it's coming from the core. So
I had an interesting learning curve where when I had the least sales experience, I closed the most because I knew the least things to say. Like I had the smallest education on like frameworks and how to compose yourself on a sales call, and I was just showing up as Justin, who was stoked to be there and had a shit ton of conviction through that. And my calls were a train wreck, but I closed a ton of deals in my first month because I was just so fired up and so excited to like bring people on this journey. And then it was only when I actually started really trying to study it, I actually went through a reverse effect where it was like I was focusing so much on like, oh shit, what is the right thing to say, that I lost all of that natural ability that I actually already had. It's wild.
I love it. Well, why don't you guys give us both the background on like what the actual offer is you sell, rough price points, and kind of like the sales process and where you guys fit into that, just so we can have some context.
Yeah, totally. So for Founder West, what we do is we help founders scale with proven systems and how to build a $5 million business and beyond, all through organic content. So it's all around personal branding, organic content, monetizing with social funnels, helping them establish key hires as well to help them execute, especially if they're like really trying to build a strong media arm for their business. And we will coach them either on a 90-day period, which is more of a group-based model, which is $7,800. I got on the offer when it was 48, so we've had 3 price increases, so it's 78 now. And then we have our one-to-one offer, and that will go all the way up till 78,000.
Wow.
And then both of those one-to-one offers are either one's the full mastermind, which is like more access to our higher level community network, like guys like Tom Bilyeu, like big names like that. And then a step down from that is still tapped in founders doing like 30, 50K a month ideally,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking to scale to like the first like consistent, predictable 100K per month. And that's still everything. It's just like at that mastermind level, they're really paying to be a part of like a community of like dogs, like doing like, you know,
Mhm.
9 figures
Yeah.
kind of thing. It sold multiple businesses. It's just a bit of a different sell in that sense because it's more community driven. And then the sales process is pretty dialed in now. So just based on the type form and the application that they get, or the answers that they provide, if they're like their apps that are questionable, automatically they're routed to a setter, and then the setter's going to pre-qualify them and vet them before they get on my calendar.
Right.
So they have that route, and then we'll do triages as well, and that kind of can be like spearheaded by me, where I'm like, hey, like this guy looks super awesome, and like obviously he's probably financially qualified there, but just based on my research or whatever, like it'd be probably good to have a deep dive going into that call ahead of time, so that, you know, I don't kind of need to get to interrogation style with somebody at like that level. I can be more direct with them on the call and then set it up for a proper closing call, because that's the biggest thing that we've learned, and not to divert here, but with the sales process, like you want to be setting up the calls to be a closing call, not information gathering, and that I'm still trying to figure out what you guys do, like if I even want to do this, like ineffective. So
Right.
all these like prior steps from the VSL that you watch, the pre-call materials, everything, plus a setter call, the information they send them, it all equates to a successful sales call, hopefully.
Sweet.
Yep.
Sweet.
How many pieces of homework do they go through, like homework, before they actually get on the call?
Yeah.
You're talking like VSLs, setters,
Yeah.
triage, funnels.
So they'll watch a video before they get on a call with me, like one that's Matt done, and then so they watch a video before they go ahead and book the call. So after the application, please watch this like video, this whatever. Then they're doing that. Then they're booking on the setter's booking them, and then we have a post call video as well
To prep them for the close.
for the actual closing call.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 video assets, setter conversation, and then, you know, the setter will use their judgment on setting like testimonials or case studies that was relevant based on their situation.
Right.
What's the percentage of people that actually watch both videos on the calls? Like you
Yeah.
ask them, like,
Yeah.
hey, did you
I
watch
don't-
the videos?
Yeah, I don't, because that's the setter's going to ask those questions, right? So from a place of redundancy, I'm not going to ask those questions, but I would say about probably like 70%, we're trying to like up it, and the reason why it could be better is just like, well, ideally you want it because it really explains like the power of this thing. And so if they're bought into the mechanism of how to get there, whether like the idea is like whether it's founder us or not, they know full well like that is the path kind of thing. So we're trying to now reshoot it, maybe shorten the length through.
Sweet. No, that makes a lot of sense. So you're obviously like the final stage in that offer, and then maybe just run us through like your rough metrics. One thing you mentioned to me the other day that I thought was a little bit surprising, but you know, kind of interesting, was that about 50% of your closes and cash collected actually is not from that initial call. It's from some type of follow up. So yeah, maybe run us through like your metrics. How many calls you're getting a week? How many are you closing? All that kind of stuff.
100%. So yeah, so closed 50% of my deals on follow up, and like some months give or take 10% on either side, to be honest with you. And I feel very fortunate on this offer because we have very strong brand. Like truthfully, I'd be lying to say that didn't play into it, but it just does, which is a benefit for me that, you know, they don't run away. It's not like we're not coming at them with cold paid media saying buy our stuff, right? And then like you never hear from them again. Yeah, sure, maybe a couple slip in, but I'm setting ahead of time, like on the call, that from my tie downs and like what are the next steps that I gain commitment from them on. Well, like they know that I'm going to follow them, and I'm going to send them some wicked assets, and then every follow up I do is very value driven. So I'm never sending a follow up like, hey, just checking in, or you know, where are we at with this? And like, yes, that's kind of the outcome you're looking for, but I'd rather kind of come in from like value, whether it's a case study or a testimonial, or it's a screenshot from an internal communication I have with Matt. Maybe it's like I had a conversation out about the CSM, or then I'll send a loom. So I have like a variety of like probably like 5 to 8 different follow-up assets that I'll leverage, and always get the next step, or always get that back up to. So yeah, part of that's the strength of the offer, the strength of the branding, but then it's also I'm setting commitments and goalposts of like what is our decision-making criteria or commitment criteria that's going to allow us to move this ball along.
Yeah.
And I'm setting that on the call. Like I'm dictating that, and so every time I come in, like it's not like, oh, this guy's annoying or whatever. Yeah. And the follow-ups are then value-driven, so there's 3 parts to that.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty in tune with the whole customer decision journey.
100%.
And sometimes you'll get in a call and you'll realize, okay, this person isn't ready to buy now, rather than pressuring them and getting the yes or the no. You're just going to know in that moment, hey, I'm going to reset, I'm going to build some value, do some more discovery, get these kind of key pieces in. I know I did the same in my business when I realized like a prospect wasn't ready to make a decision. Either they'd say it explicitly or just, I could tell from like my intuition. I actually wouldn't even present, I wouldn't try to close. I would actually just schedule a follow-up, 3-4 days from now when they would be in a position. And then Justin, I know your offer is actually a little bit different. Like yours is more of like the one call close, a bit less of a process. So yeah, maybe just run us through kind of like your price point, your metrics, and what that funnel looks like.
Yeah, so totally opposite. I also like when Jordan describes his offer, he says the media arm and he goes like this every time. It makes me want to 5-pound OS. So yeah, ours is totally different. We sell a education platform to barbers and hairstylists. We come from the hair industry. We were like salon owners, educators ourselves for many years. And my best friend basically designed an online platform where we're teaching barbers to actually scale their businesses properly, and their business being their personal clientele, their shop, whatever that may be, because it's a huge industry. None of them, well, not none of them, but it's very uncommon for people to actually see the success that they want, and due to the fact that we get into it for the art, but that's not really enough to actually provide for you, right? You look up how much a barber makes, it's like 30 to 50K a year, which is not enough money in today's age. Then you have only the top few percent that are actually making over 6 figures, which is kind of where you need to start to make a decent living. And so we teach them proper skill set online, because it's very hard to find the actual skills that you need to be able to produce a consistent product. And then we teach them proper content branding strategies to actually tell their story, build their personal brand, and actually attract clientele through social media. So they're not like running around in the street trying to hand out cards and taking like the industry standard, which is like 5 to 10 years to build a clientele. And then you're stuck there, right? You need a consistently building clientele that's always growing with value and price, and just to keep up with the economy alone, but to actually be able to buy your time back so you're not working 6 days a week, just find a chair. Our process, due to the fact that our clients aren't business owners, they've never really been on a sales call before, it is very much a one call close, and that's the exciting part. You've definitely seen the excitement of the process for sure, because they come on this total information gathering. They know just that they're going to talk about this program, and then it's heavily encouraging them to actually take action and step into this new version of themselves and hold them accountable to the goals that they've set at the beginning of the call. Because if they don't, we know that, like I said earlier, we're not serving them, because they probably won't come back. They'll get distracted with their jobs, they're very caught up in their own world, they're busy, they're stressed about money, whatever it is. They get off the call, there's a very high chance we never hear from them again. And then we've actually failed as coaches by providing them the opportunity that they needed to genuinely grow. What was the last part of the question?
Well, I think I definitely would be interested to dive into your metrics as well, like just calls per week, close rate, that kind of stuff. But like from what I'm hearing, it sounds like with your offer, it's more of like a full sales funnel, and the close is like one like tool in the tool bag. Whereas the way that your offer is done, probably this is also partially because it's like a newer business, and the founder maybe doesn't have like a ton of experience the way that Mac Raid obviously does. But it seems like closing is the only weapon that you guys have. Like you're just trying to fill the calendar with the closers, and then you're essentially taking these people that don't really know what a sales call is. Your offer obviously has a ton of value. Like it literally, will help them become better barbers, help them charge more, change their lives. And so within the span of like 60 minutes, you're trying to build so much value, and then just like drop the price point.
Yeah.
That's the biggest like mind blow for me, because I'm used to like hinting at pricing earlier on and kind of building people there, and it's a whole process. So when you go for the close, you already both know that the deal is there. It's a more formality. Whereas for you, when you go for the close, it's like an intense, like it's like silence. You're like, and what's the price point? It's like 5,800 or something.
5,800
USD.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like more money than probably they've ever spent on anything
invested.
besides their car and their home and their lives.
Total stranger on the internet.
what is that process like? Like, I guess a better question, like when you go for the close in that context, you built a ton of value, you're holding them accountable, all this stuff, and then you drop the price. Like, do you usually have a feeling whether they're going to close or not, or do you not even know and it's just kind of up in the air?
Well, you never 100%. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You never exactly know what's going to happen, but you need to be well equipped for anything, right? You could have like the best call where they're super bought in and they just try and run away, right? Because it's not comfortable. And it doesn't matter how bad you said you wanted something, how tied down they were. There's still that factor, right? You get hit with a spouse objection. You get hit with maybe they just don't have the money. Like that's happened as well, right? They just literally don't have the financial means to pay for it on that call, which is super common. You can get blindsided by that. And then you're kind of playing like the accounting, like finance game. Feels like you're at a car dealership a little bit, trying to figure out how to get them to the door. But realistically, the better your process is, because if someone's truly aligned with something, they genuinely believe in you, they trust in you, they trust in the process that you've laid out before them, they know, like it's not totally blindsided. When they get on their VSLs, our content is incredible. It's super educational, like super informative, and they know what's going on. They have a VSL, they've seen it, they know it's a mentorship program. They're not totally blindsided by the fact that like we are trying to sell them something, but they're usually unprepared for the price point, even though they know it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just trying to transfer that certainty where they're like, you want me to spend $5,800 right now, right? But that $5,800, it represents the step that they have to take and the risk they have to take to actually step into that like small percentile of people who actually get to have the career that they don't have, right? And that's kind of like that first challenge on the call, which is the fun part, but it's also the bit of a dice roll sometimes.
Yeah. I can let go. Yeah. Just like I have the questions that come up for me of like how to improve that. Like that's all I'm thinking about is like, okay, the application, certain questions are being asked like, how much do you invest into your barber mentorship investment per year or something like that. Like, and you can kind of gauge, okay, 0 to 5K or never. Like, probably should I have some extra qualification, and then maybe what's the setter doing. So I guess my hot take is that, is there an opportunity, and maybe Willie, you agree as well, to like kind of be a bit more forefront with alluding to what could a potential range of price point could be expected before they get on the call without deterring them completely. And I think there's some nuance to that, but I'm masculine Go solutions mode right now. Like, let's improve the so you don't have to go to war that often while it's sick. It's like talk about the longevity of a sales closer, right? Like most of the time in this world, I think a lot of closers hop around and like don't stay a while. But I've been in that for like over a year and a half, and like I don't see any time leaving while I build my brand the back end. Like this is it. So like from you keeping your level head, like imagine that objection had like 6, 7 out of every call.
Yeah.
Like sustaining that for longer than a year, like bro, that's fucking hard. Like really hard.
Yeah.
And that can weigh on you, especially, and I've been there too, when you're having a tough week, right? And you're just like, it's you and you. And then, maybe you don't have an outlet or the best outlet internally that you can share that with, other than apart from your brothers here. So I think, I just have, those are kind of my thoughts around that. But
the solution is you move to Mexico with your friends. You live on a beach. That's the solution.
Environment really is everything. So.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm curious actually, so both of you guys obviously work fully remotely. What's it been like, being here for the last month or two and closing deals versus being at home? If you notice any difference, performance improvements, decrease, like what does that look like?
I actually had an interesting realization, and there's good and bad things, positive and negative. And the good things were that the change of environment, like the quality of life definitely went up, like the support, being here with everyone, having like meals taken care of, you being on the beach, just in the sun, like that accessibility to things that are just genuinely good for your health has dramatically improved like overall like confidence and mindset, but it brought to light the actual and like tactical things that needed to be worked on, because once you're like in quote unquote paradise every day, like there's really no reason to be upset here. You're with your best friends, you're like eating good food, you're training, like nothing's wrong. And so if things are still wrong, then it's like that's it's like a poor way to say it, but like that bubbles to the surface, like okay, so that's actually the problem, right? It's not like, oh, am I just in a shitty mood not closing because maybe my environment's stressful, or maybe it's like the city I live in or the people I'm around or whatever. you can really highlight what's actually going on. But as far as overall experience, I would say it was pretty, I would say life-changing, to be honest with you. To have that freedom and control and being able to actually just dial in and focus on what needs to be focused on.
Yeah.
Back to you, Jordan.
Thanks, Justin. For me, yeah, like I was kind of saying this to our videographer Tim yesterday when I was doing some shooting, like reflecting on it. Like this has been easily my biggest unlock in like the next like stage of my closing journey / brand building journey / cultivating amazing relationships as well. Because on the closing front, I documented a challenge of me going after $250,000 closed cash, not revenue, in a single month. And I documented that journey every day and did 25 reels in the month of September. And because of I set that goal and that challenge, it just forced me to be accountable to like doing everything I could to achieve that, which means that I needed to be sharp on every call. I needed to manage my energy, right? I need to get good sleep and to eat the best food, and just take care and utilize this environment the best way I could. And like safe to say, like I did that. But that was my biggest month ever. I got the bonus and everything I could ever ask for, and it created more content than I ever have as well in building my brand, while still working and closing deals for Founder West. So there was a lot going on, but like that was all a byproduct of like I had 6-7 dudes all around the whole time, like building businesses, getting shit done. Just I see that around, like, fuck, okay, time to switch on, and I communicated the goal, right, and shared it publicly to not only my small audience for now, as well as the guys here, which just forces you to be like, if you're a guy that goes after what he wants and you want to be that, that lion that takes shit and like owns it, just like you have to take on that identity. And so this environment, like this type of community, I don't ever want to leave. And I think for the next year, like we have plans to do more of these entrepreneur houses. And so I think my notion here is to like inject a little bit of chaos into your life, and for anybody like looking to become a closer or like really become expansive, like fucking move out of your hometown for a bit, make some new relationships of like guys you want to be like or aspire to be like, and then set yourself a lofty goal that is a bit audacious and kind of scares you a bit, and then go one step further to document it publicly. And so that was like my recipe.
Nice.
Now.
Balls on the table.
Yeah. Seems like it's been working well, man. Since you got a ton of momentum, things are totally trending in the right direction. I think this would be maybe a good segue. I'd be curious for you to maybe open up a little bit more about actually how you ended up working with Matt Gray, how you found this offer, how long you've been in sales. Like,
100%.
Just kind of run us through a bit of the background there.
Yeah, so I've been in sales for collectively like 7 years. Started out selling insurance, and that was like super gung ho. Like insurance is a tough sale. It was commission only. I was 24. I was in the military prior to that, and like I knew I had the kind of the raw materials to get into sales. Had a lot of people tell me to do so, and so I entered that like just like literally jumped in while my mom and like friends were like, "Oh, that seems like kind of rough or whatever." But the thing about insurance is they sell the dream so hard and they put on crazy events, and I was so bought into that lifestyle. I just had no choice but to make it happen, and that's where I kind of learned the raw skills of sales, because I was doing cold calling, door knocking to like get into somebody's home, and we'd book our own appointments, and the way that we get in is like by offering them a free like package of like a vision card that I don't even think even worked, and then all this stuff, and then to go activate their benefits, which is very like what even is that? But it's enough curiosity to be like, okay, I guess you got to come over. And so then you go over, you do this, sign off on this benefits package, and then you lead into your pitch, and then you're pitching them in their own house for like 2 hours, telling them where to sit and stuff, and like taking control of the environment. It was like, yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild actually, and did that, and that's where I learned like tie downs. I learned tonality, and like it was like that mentorship that I got there. Like I don't take that for granted, because it gave me a lot of confidence as well at a young age to like sell for real, and like and those deals are done in the home. Like those people aren't calling back. It's not like we have now. So that's where I learned like the true like raw skills of sales, and then I had success there. I basically didn't want to do that anymore because it really impacted my integrity. Because I knew that there were other insurance products out there that were way better. So now our product is inferior, and then I consider myself a lot of integrity. So and then COVID happened, and then I was actually on road trips selling in print storage. So we'd actually like do road trips to get out of the like our hometowns, and people were a lot nicer in these rural towns, so that's why we did that, to go for a big month. And then COVID happened. I'm already kind of feeling like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And the way that you really make money in insurance is by hiring an agency. And so like bringing like a guy like you on, and like you then work with me, but like I'm getting a percentage of what you make, which is very like MLM style. I didn't like that because I didn't really fully believe in what I was doing, but it was, and I had this expensive car to pay for, so I had to make it happen.
The best way to make more money.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
Get a car note you can't afford.
Get an Audi S4 that you like really can barely afford and not pay taxes on it. So then I was in Prince George, COVID hit, and that's where it all kind of came crashing down. Like, I can't do this, and then I started to think about like this higher version of me. I'm like, do I really want to call myself like an insurance salesman that sells policies on Zoom? Like, it just didn't really excite me.
Is this the end?
Yeah.
Is this the end of me?
Literally, like, that's how I was feeling. And then I basically, from there, dragged it out for like 3-4 months. And I was just like in a really tough spot. And that's where I got into self-development, cold showers, meditation, Joe Dispenza, kind of like changed my whole view, journaling, all that. And then I was like becoming this like higher version of myself, more tapped in, more spiritual, more abundant, but still was in the wrong like environment to really help me flourish. So I was doing like back and forth like sales jobs, more of in a 9-to-5 PCP environment. And that was like good, but definitely wasn't aligned. And then I was bartending for like a long time. And then all that to say, like, that then cascaded me into connecting with Cam. We became friends, which is another entrepreneur that lives at the house with us. And he actually initiated like, hey, you should get into high ticket sales. Something way more high leverage, make a shit ton more money. You can just stay at home and you can make USD. And for us Canadians, like, how you doing? You know? So that sparked that. And then initially was Cold Board and like RCA Academy. And the price point so what they do is they basically will teach you how to become a closer. And then their offer is like, then they'll place you on an offer. But you're paying for the training and then getting
job placement.
On a job placement, yeah. But that was like 7,000 or 8,000 US. I definitely didn't have the money at that time. But I also had this like this just unrelenting belief that I was like, bro, I know how to sell. Like, I don't need to do that. Like, I can just like bypass the whole training. Let me just get into this. And so I found this loophole. I don't even know. I forget how I found it, but it was basically you applied to be on their roster. So they'll basically take you on, they interview you, and then they'll just put you in their pipeline of like offers that you'd be suited for. And so I bypassed the training, got on their pipeline, and dude, it was the very first offer that was sent to me was Matt.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
Wow.
So talk about like, and this again, keep in mind at this time I was listening to a lot of Kevin Trudeau, just like another spiritual mentor, law of attraction, but breaks it down into science, a bunch of other books, and I just romanticize that belief that like things were happening for me, even though again I didn't have the vehicle that would give me that confirmation and evidence it was that way. I still believed it wholeheartedly. And so then I bring back to what I'm saying, like I got in that pipeline, put out the intention that I'm gonna get in high ticket sales, I'm gonna fucking crush it. And that was the first offer that was sent, which is crazy because I was following Matt 6 months prior to that as somebody who was bought into what he was doing, and I resonated with him as a person. So he was somebody I looked at, like I like this guy. Yeah. And holy fuck,
were you shitting your pants at that interview?
Dude, when I saw the offer come in, it was like for Matt Gray, like potential to make whatever they said, like 13 upwards of 13.5K US per month. Not only was the dollar sign attractive, but it was like, dude, I really get on with this guy. Like, and he was talking about personal branding, which is what I already wanted to do as well. So that intention to build my brand was already there. And that goes back to my point about really believing in what you sell, because it was like, dude, if there's anybody who can sell this shit, it's fucking me. It's like, I need to get this offer. And then, so that was presented to me. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to interview for this. Go through the interview process. Matt did 10 group interviews of like 6 guys and not one passed. And all those guys had more experience than I did. So when I was on that call, like I was just selling myself and like the belief in FounderOS and like giving them ideas of like how we could grow this thing, rather than like, I've sold this much, I've done this. Yeah, that was important. But it was like, he really wanted somebody to really be bought into the mission.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I communicated to him. And then we got on one-on-one. And then I was on the golf course in Mission, the beautiful golf course. I played the best round of my life, and he FaceTimes me to give me the role.
Wow.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
Get the role, and then now that I'm building my brand, this is also nuts. When I started following Matt, he was living here in Puerto Escondido, which is a very small town in Mexico.
That's cool.
Living here, and that's when he just started to really crank. He was doing backyard videos of him with a mic and on tripods, and just doing talking head videos, like low level kind of creator stuff at that time.
Wow.
Where he started what was here, and then now here we are, where I met, like started with him, and now I've started building my brand in Puerto, like for real.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of
That's
like
crazy. I did not know there were other like those little supporting details.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So like,
Cool story.
like synchronicity wise, like there's a lot like to pull from there. Like, how can you not believe that shit was like this vehicle was put in front of you? Like, I choose to believe that. Like, not to take power away from like my confidence or my ability to interview, but it was in support of all these things working together, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of synchronicities, I keep hearing this Cole Gordon guy's name tossed around. I actually have never seen him online, but I've heard a bunch of people mention him. I think, is that the same guy? Okay, tell us this story about how the offer with LearningPad kind of came to be. I know originally you guys were low ticket, got into Cole Gordon. Run us through that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you want to like how I got into it and then how the whole thing like transformed?
Yeah, up to you. I mean, I think you told me the story the other day, and I was kind of mind blown just of how the actual offer came to be. Like, I know you know,
right. So when I was still owning and managing barbershops, like full-time cutting hair, I knew Cam, I knew you lightly, and this whole kind of crew. But Cam wanted to bring me on as a beauty consultant for AboveMen, which is like his offer. And he was like, listen, we have this idea, like maybe let's bring you on, you can like consult people on like their hair and styling and shit. And it's like, cool, sure, why not? He goes, we'll do like Zoom call consultation, whatever. He goes, I got this guy, his name's Amber, he runs like a consulting construction company. I go, that sounds cool, bring on Amber. So I sit down with Amber on a Zoom call, and I'm like breaking down his hair, giving him my referrals, like what I would do shape-wise, having a chat about that, trying to give him some value. I have a good conversation, and I end up referring him to my buddy's salon in Toronto, who is the owner of the offer that I now sell. But at the time, he was just running an online monthly subscription for like some hair videos. He had no idea what high ticket was. He knew he wanted to grow
what was the
big.
price point at the time?
Like $50 to $80 a month, right? It was just like videos. And so I have this call with Amber, right? And I sent him to Silver Arrow. And it was funny because the first person I never told you, the first person that Amber went to in Silver Arrow wasn't Alex. And he called me. He was like, this wasn't really valuable. It's kind of sucked. And it was so jokes because he had like miscommunications with stylists. Anyway, but he ended up going back. It's like, yo, trust me. He's like, I was like, you got to go meet the owner. You have to go meet Alex. So he books another appointment. Alex is incredible what he does. It blows his mind to get to talking. Amber tells Alex about his high ticket offer. Alex goes, what the hell's high ticket? He's like, you can sell these, thousands of dollars in the package and blah, blah, blah with consulting and stuff. Alex's ears perk up. And Amber actually in that chair put him on to Cole Gordon's training, which is what you were just talking about, where they teach you how to develop a high ticket offer. So it's through that consultation, through Amber meeting him for a haircut, that Alex actually transitioned his company into a high ticket sale, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And then Alex started closing, transferred out of his salon, developed a coaching program for his offer, and started scaling like crazy. Started at 2,500 USD and was just closing it and coaching it, doing everything himself, like the classic startup. And that was before I was thinking about coming on board, before I even knew it was an option, which is wild.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and as much as we were like roasting, well not roasting, but we're, I think both you and I are a little bit critical of potentially the sales process and cycle. Like, either way, it's fucking working. Like, the company's doing what, like $3 million a year, and you've been around for like a year and a half.
So when I got to Alex, he was closing, coaching, and doing everything by himself, and he was doing 80,000 a month, totally solo, in his first 6 months of operating that company by himself.
Wow.
When I started, I was his first closer. I'll do the backstory because it's actually pretty crazy. So I was owning my salons, managing them. Alex and I were in communication. We both actually got out of long-term relationships. You need to get back in touch with people because like shit goes wrong.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yo, this is crazy. Like life's happening. He's telling me about his online thing. I'm like, dude, I'm super done with hair. I love my shops. I had a great business, great career. But I was like, I'm so over this. I genuinely just want to be out of my city. I genuinely just want to go out. He's like, well, dude, just come to Toronto. I lived in Abbotsford, BC. Come to Toronto. Let's just vibe out for a week. We just get around my energy because he's a killer. Get refreshed, get recharged. Maybe we'll come up with some new idea. I'm like, fucking sure. Buy a plane ticket out there. I go sleep on his couch for a week. We're like hanging out, going for drinks, deep chats, getting reconnected. And we're standing on his balcony, on his apartment, and below it was a house. It was a brand new house downtown Toronto, beautiful, that had no one lived in it. He goes, nobody can afford to live in that house because it's too small for a family, and it's too weirdly laid out. It's a laneway house for it was too expensive for bachelors to live in. So it was empty, and the landlords were like, we can't fill it. He goes, we're gonna move into that house. You're gonna get rid of your salons. You're gonna retire. And we're gonna start building Learn to Cut. And I was like, it's 3 a.m, go to bed, right? We're like, shut up. And long story short, 30 days from that moment, I had signed away my shares of my company and my over a decade-long career that I had built, and literally bought a one-way ticket to Toronto, moved into this house with him, we locked it in. And since then, the company has scaled from 80K to we just did 300K was our highest month, and that was in 9 months, which is crazy. There's a team of, I think, 3 to 4 CSMs. We have 4 full-time closers now, including myself. Yeah, so it's scaled like crazy. But which is wild, is our plan was never for me to be a closer. I was going to come in and just help manage. To be fair, he was like, we're just going to find something for you to do. It's basically what happens, we'll see where you can add value. And I was like, fuck it, I don't have anything to lose. What's the worst that can happen? And I stepped into closing, fell in love with it, and started getting trained up. And that's literally just been the journey of the last 9 months. It's just blasting this thing and watching him, once we pulled away his need to be on closing calls all day, watching him flourish into this CEO where he's now learning to actually build this giant company in such a short amount of time, which is really, it's led for a crazy year, especially when you're stuck in a house with someone, but it was unforgettable for sure.
Yeah. So obviously sales and closing is kind of one piece of a business, right? You've got to bring in customers, which is marketing, getting leads, and closing sales, right? And then you've obviously got your product, and then you've got your whole team, your whole systems, all that kind of stuff. I'm curious with the skills that you guys have sort of built in doing high ticket sales, where do you see your careers kind of progressing? Do you see yourselves going deeper and more into sales, selling things more expensive? Do you feel like you'd ever kind of build your own offers, or you kind of just playing it by ear? Where do you see those closing skills kind of coming into play over the long run?
Yeah, well, I think, life is sales. Just selling in general, it's an invaluable skill. You're selling people on your opinions, your ideas. You're selling yourself and getting the right women and stuff. Everything is sales, right? And so, that's that's the grounding statement that it's one of the most important raw skills that you could ever have. For me, on my side, I have no desire to sell my own offer. I don't feel pulled to consulting or coaching necessarily. Not that I can't do it. It's just not where I feel pulled to. My North Star in building my brand is I'm trying to help men. I believe that a man's true power comes from creating their own mold and to be audaciously unapologetic of themselves. And I do that through 3 different buckets, which is mindset, confidence, charisma, spirituality, this abundant kind of king phrasing that I've kind of honed in on. And as well as self-care, and then finding their personal style, which is the fashion piece. And that kind of will speak to all these other areas. And so long term, my North Star is to actually build a fashion brand. And through my content, through my brand on YouTube and Instagram, what I'm doing there, that, just like what I am selling and getting behind is if you have people who are bought into you and your mission, you can sell them anything you want. Not that you would from a manipulative standpoint, I don't mean it that way, but just quite literally a personal brand gives you the opportunity or the vehicle to do just that. And then you could, if I wanted to, roll that into coaching, consulting, or community or whatever. But that's where kind of my life's going, and I've gotten really clear on that why of why I'm doing this. And for my role here in Founder West, I think people don't view me as a closer here anymore because I've been here as Matt's first hire since day one. very much come from the lens of like a brand strategist. I think that's always my friend on these calls too. That that's like why I do the best is because I'm looked at beyond just a sales guy. It's just like, well, this guy actually is like providing a ton of value, even though it's a sales call. It's like, wow, I'm walking away with like a bit of a game plan. So with the price of this offer, I mean, $7,800 on the low end, and then majority of what home base is of closing 4 or 5, upwards of 8 FounderUs Plus deals at $29K. It's a very high ticket offer that I'm usually more often than not piffing on, which is a paid in full for anybody curious about that. So
29K pips.
29K pips. My first month we launched those, I closed six pips. So in terms of the offer, like, you know, how it's making my bank feel and like all that allows me to do these kind of this kind of thing, to live remotely, to hire a videographer and like all that. So not only with the vehicle that I have right now fuels my dream, but it's also not this crazy, like I'm working 12 hours a day, right? Like banging my head against the wall kind of thing. And there's been periods of that with FounderUs, so it's actually very reminiscent to what you were saying too, like when FounderUs started. It's like, it wasn't like always a cranking, but yeah, like it's a good opportunity for now while I can build my thing on the side. And with like I said, like when it comes to creating a fashion brand and selling that and like the market behind it, like all these skills that I have from helping write copy with FounderUs, or just like knowing what hits people, or like my target market, if they're 20 to 35 and they like sick threads, like I'm gonna know just from my own experience and how I've sold things in the past, like that's going to translate to my landing pages or my emails or whatever it is. And so the ripple effects from this skill alone it's all upside. So yeah.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree with you on that, because I don't have like this clear of a vision, but getting into some of the with the opportunity that it presents, there is like that level of certainty that it doesn't really, you don't need this like clear direction. Like you just know that what you're learning and experiencing is so transferable.
Yeah.
Even just the confidence behind it, even just the
100%.
communication skills behind it. On top of like actually getting into the online world, seeing like what you're talking about, the understanding like how copywriting on a basic level works, how the marketing ads, like social media outreach, how these pages actually grow and develop, how communities are built. Even just having like some insight onto that makes you so valuable, whether you want to do your own thing, transfer somewhere else. And yeah, I mean, in my own personal experience, I've definitely never into my journey here, and this kind of wasn't even the plan to begin with. So I'm fully in a stage of where I am just riding this out. I want to bring as much value to the offer that I'm on and scale with it as much as I can. In the future, who knows, right? And there is just that little certainty I can fall back on, be like, I'm good, right? Like, we make good money. I have now the freedom to, you know, live wherever I want. I'm definitely staying here for a bit, and you can just figure it out, but not in like the starving artist sense of like, when's the next paycheck coming? It's like you have certainty that you are financially growing. You're growing in, you know, the right kinds of value and education that actually can transfer to other areas of your life, which is, I think, invaluable personally, at least for me and what I'm looking for. 100%.
Yeah, I think one thing I want to add there too, it just came out for me, is like, there's something to be said about like if like you start making a good income, like you feel like you have a good vehicle right now, and like there's opportunity to grow, which makes me think of like learning to cut. It's like you guys are at your baseline offer, which is now like you guys have the opportunity to create like a 20K offer yourself, like have that ascendery model built in. It'd be crazy to think that wouldn't happen. And then you're there at the ground floor where you're the first guy selling that, proving it out. So more money to be made, But also like, I feel like sales is the highest leverage. Like if you don't have a business, or you want the stress of building a business, all that, like selling and getting good, like really fucking good at sales, like you can build a life just on sales alone and make $300K a year, and like that might be your number and you're good. But like that's like one of those. That's why like I think selling is so important, and that it has upside just written through it. You just got to make sure that you're in the right opportunity vehicle that can allow you to make those consistent 20, 30K months. It's like that's the goal. And then because you have the skill of sales and you've worked in high ticket, or you've done that role, you've done this, you've also built this belief in yourself that I actually just made 40 grand last month. That's like this new baseline, this new target, not where you don't get pissed if you don't meet it, but it's just saying that like you've given yourself evidence and proof that you're actually, I'm a 40K guy per month guy. So that if you did fall away or you did something else, because you've already did it once, you know that you can get back there. So you're also building, this confidence and this belief in yourself to go to the next level. And then, okay, now my next goal is to 80K per month. Okay, I've hit 80, what's next? But that again, like there's so many avenues we could take that down, but I think that's important to highlight when you are exceeding in any role. And if I were to like give like sales as a whole, like, I mean, it's given me everything that I want up until now. So
I think I totally agree with that. I think like you definitely touched on like the belief, which I think is important as well, like the confidence to know, oh, I can get back there. But I think there is something to be said for just like the actual hard skill as well. Like just the reps that you have. Like I know for myself, like I mostly am coaching my sales reps at this stage in the business, but when I do go into sales myself, like it's totally flow state. I'm not thinking about it at all, and I'm closing at a super high rate to the point where, as you mentioned, like I have confidence if like my business were to burn down something else, like, I just now have that skill. I can go and apply that to something else. And there's definitely a ton of value to that. In fact, it's one of the main things, like the main piece of advice that I would give to somebody who's like younger. My vehicle, based on just the way I grew up and the one I got into, is like, hey, go start like a physical business, like a home service, maybe a marketing agency, ideally something in person. As we were talking about door knocking earlier, I think there's actually a level of like ease to that. It's easier to sell something in person. And I think you want to make things as easy as possible in business because it's always super competitive. Take every advantage you can get, learn that skill, then go do it online. But I think there is also other options to develop that skill of sales, right? In my lens, it's like, hey, let's go start our own business so that we can learn how to sell customers, right? And then also in a way like managing employees is like a type of sale in a way where you're building a recruiting funnel, you're getting leads, you're qualifying them, you're enrolling them in the vision, you're selling them on the dream, and then really it's a lot about delivery, like how are you actually delivering on your service, which is essentially paying the money, and they're having, it's like the inverse, right? So I think there's a lot of value in learning both of those things, and I'd be curious to hear from both of you guys, like maybe some advice you would give. I know a lot of people that listen to the podcast are like quite a bit younger, so they're like thinking of starting a business or have a business already and they're looking to improve it. Like, where would you point someone who's maybe, like early 20s, kind of getting into their career, they're like potential to be an A+ player, they have a good foundational skill set, but they haven't found the vehicle yet. Like, how would you guys recommend, I guess first, like, would you recommend looking into high ticket sales? And if so, like, how do they get started on that path of like, sorry, last piece of context before you answer. I just want to say, like, looking at your guys' schedules and like the way that you operate, the amount of money you make per hour is really fucking impressive. Like, I know a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners who work 16 hours a day, they're fucking grinding, and they make good money, right? They're making well above 6 figures, and they're working 14 hours a day. Sometimes when I see you guys, it's like, of course you guys work hard, of course there's there's things going on in the background, but ultimately, like, when you have 2 or 3 calls in a day, that's like 2 or 3 hours of work. If one of them's a no-show, like, you're not even working at that time, and you're closing 1 or 2 of those, which means you're making your money. So there is like something about like just that skill of like closing within the frame of a larger business that could be valuable. And I guess I'll just open it up and hear what you guys think about that specifically for somebody who's younger and looking to get into it.
100%. So I definitely identify that because like I was bartending, like making like good money in bartending, which is like $500-700 a night, which is actually pretty nuts for a bartender. But like you have this like unwavering belief that you're meant for more kind of thing. So I've been there, and that was only like just a year and a half ago kind of thing, where had some initial success but fell off, and then needed to change my environment, build a new identity, and then find the right vehicle. So if you are that person, you would likely be pretty good at sales, whether you're extroverted, which is I think is a strength, or an introvert. Like, doesn't matter. Like, I think high ticket sales is definitely to have in you, and I'll come back to that. And like, how would I enter high ticket sales again if I was starting from zero? But the other side of that too is also becoming a content creator. Like, is an actual vehicle. Like, that is a model. So I would either go like the content route and then let your authenticity shine, like just random hobbies that you're interested in, like documenting that.
And you're saying use that to attract
100%.
like an actual offer and a business partner. So you're coming in with more
exactly.
like authority.
So rather than getting too caught up in like what the offer is going to be right now, just focus on building a community and building the audience first. Because if you have, again, people that just like what you say, you're funny, or you got this unique quirk about you, or what, it could literally be anything. people are going to buy into you, and then based on the feedback that you get from the audience you build, that'll also give you clarity around like what could you then present in front of them. So you have route A, which is like literally just start posting content, and I'm like, not just because I'm doing it now, like the more I've created and actually lent into that, the more clarity I've gotten, which is just by what I said. So I think at this day and age, like look at all the brands, like they're not spending as much money on ads anymore. It's UGC, it's paying creators that have audiences to like, you know, do their products and stuff. So there's just a ton of opportunities on that side. But then if it's something, I don't want to do content right now, like whatever, like get into high ticket sales, because it's the highest leverage activity you could do right now. It's likely where it's the most amount of money you can make right now, and it's going to cost you least amount of time. And you can, if it's not fully what you want to do, like what else is going to pay you that much, and it'll give you the ability to travel and stuff like that, especially from the right offer. So those are like that's like route A and B. How I would get into high ticket sales, and since I've been posting that challenge and documenting the journey, I've actually had like 40 to 50 guys like aspiring, like how do I get into high ticket sales, or how do I sell my offer, or can you help me with like stress management and energy, which has been pretty cool as well, because I've talked a lot about that in my content.
Can I get some of that?
how I would do it, really, this is what I would do. So I went bypassing on that pipeline with closers, and it honestly, that there's some luck infused with that. But this is the advice I've given to people just by video and just random strangers, is I would simply find somebody that is selling something high ticket, and you can tell because an ad will come across your way. You can dial in your search engine on like Instagram, like if you put in high ticket sales on TikTok or Instagram, then your feed, and if you watch it long enough based on the watch time, it'll like start giving you more of these like creators who are selling stuff. Think of e-commerce, think of consulting, sales, learn to cut, right? Like there's tons of these offers out there, and any offer that's over $2,500, ideally I'd want to get into something at least worth $5K, just to make it like 500 USD is like, that's nice for an hour. Find those people, and you can find them very quickly because it's coming from their personal page. You'll find the name, and then literally cold DM them by a video pitch, or do an email plus and then a video pitch, which is now your follow-up sequence. So you're giving reasons as to why you're following up with them. But I would, what I'm saying is that I would just actually go for the kill versus you going through an application process, and maybe that's required. Maybe they want to do that for you. But for me, if I was an offer owner and I had some 20-year-old kid who was like switched on, great, like had showed up on the call of the appearance and was confident, like he can tell he went with prep, that guy's going to stand out in my mind versus the pool of guys that just apply.
Yeah,
and then maybe the assistant's like, hey, appreciate that. We still want you to fill an application. Cool. But at least you fucking, pardon my French, now you've gotten onto that interview. Hopefully you get there where you can actually use that as like evidence of like, no, I actually I hunt deals. I'm a hunter. I'm a killer. That's what they want. Like if you're getting into high ticket sales, is people that fucking go for it.
And that think outside the box.
Yeah, think how it's like creative, like, and then you have your follow-up stuff, and like, I'd be happy to, like, I actually want to put a lead planning together about like how to actually get high ticket offers. That is literally what I would do. And before I started working with Matt too, I was already doing that with other creators and got responses. But just like, but Matt was the one.
Dude, that's what I tell everyone in my business. Most of my hires are not through, like, I get thousands of applications 100%. Just for like regular jobs. Yeah. And then people always complain to me. They're like, oh, the job market's so hard. I'm like, bro, literally, like, go outside the box, find the people you want a job for, find out, like, essentially your target market and what they like, what they're looking for, frame yourself in that way, and find the right person that you can be authentic in that 100%. Framing, and then fucking go for it. Like, stop, Totally. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't have as much experience on it, but I'm going to zoom out a little bit because Jordan gave a really good like tactical breakdown based on experience of what, like, step by step. He like took someone you're going like, hey, this is what you do. I'd want to zoom out a little bit and just go based off experience because that's all I can really do. And it's that similar to how you got into your offer, there is like that baseline law of attraction. And I guess first thing I'd say is to answer the first part of the question: do I think high ticket's the answer? Is that the avenue people should go down? Is that the vehicle? Obviously biased, but I would say yes, right? It's just for the simple numbers: least amount of time worked, least amount of experience required, most amount of money, most amount of freedom, right? It's not that cut and dry, but that is the simple equation. If you do have something, like, you don't have to be as good as Jordan you don't have to make $40K a month. you can easily find a decent offer, be a decent closer, work 6-7 hours a day and make 10K a month. It's great money for someone, especially if you're just starting out, don't really know what you're doing, and you work 1 or 4 or 5 days a week and live in Puerto Escondido. Like, it's not a bad life no matter what you're doing. As far as getting into an offer, like, yeah, that tactics and everything there, but I would say it's like getting into anything. And the only way that I got here, the only way I got anywhere, was by seizing opportunity and being just genuinely fearless. And that taught me the most life lessons out of anything. At a very young age, I was like traveling, buying one-way tickets places. I took jobs, quit jobs. Like, I was never afraid to just jump through the fire, and that was my superpower. Because everyone lives in this bubble of comfort, as we know. And it's like, oh, do I go into this? Oh, I got to go to school for it. What's the degree? What's the route everyone else is taking? You're going to get the same results. And if you're that person, you're that entrepreneurial go-getter, you need to just keep scaling experiences. You need to just keep putting yourself out there, and that law of attraction will kick in, right? I only got that offer, sitting beside one of the best hairstylists in the world and being on a balcony being like, yo, we're going to take that house, we're going to do this crazy thing. A decade into my career, because of the times that I moved across the country, I left my family, I quit my jobs, I'd given up everything before, taken massive amounts of risk, put myself in the right groups of people, built relationships with them, stacked them continuously, and now I have this network of people that if I lost my job today, I could make a few phone calls and probably be taken care of or be able to add value somewhere else. And so just to sum that up, I would say you need to stack experiences. And if you're not in a position where you're doing that, you need to start. And there's no tactic for that. It's like, leave whatever bubble you're in fast, find something you're interested in doing and do it well, and follow that. And when an opportunity knocks at the door, if you just want to kind of go like woo-woo with it, it'll show up at some point. Take it. Whether you win or you lose, you win. And that's a beneficial experience. You're going to meet someone, you're going to learn something not to do, and you're definitely going to be better than you were before. And that is a belief that I hold so wholeheartedly, that will make the biggest difference in people's life, because you don't actually know what's going to happen, but you definitely know what's going to happen if you fucking do nothing. Right? So I'm always like balls in, quit your job, leave your hometown, and just go.
Yeah.
And then you can at least grow. Mic drop.
Yeah, awesome. Arms. God damn. Crazy way to end it. I guess, just to wrap up, what are some closing thoughts for the audience, and where should they go to learn more about you guys?
What are some closer thoughts?
Closer thoughts or
What are some closing thoughts?
closing or closer
Some
thoughts?
closer
A
thoughts.
bit of both, maybe. Closer thoughts.
You're gonna want to go buy Founder Rest to get on a call. So I'm building my brand in the background of all this, helping scale other brands, but really building my dream, my vision. So on Instagram, you can find me at Jabes_JB, JABES_JB. And on YouTube, hammering on YouTube. I just created a movie for my first one. It's pretty sick. And I basically kind of recap how that month rolled out and how I closed over $250,000 in 30 days. So that was the first video. I'm going to Bali here in 3 weeks, and then I'm hiring a videographer as well. I'm going to get 4 YouTube long forms of me in Bali doing the same thing, but doing the wolf schedule, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. taking calls then. So back to injecting a bit of chaos, but I know that the deeper vision is building the YouTube evergreen videos, and which is going to help me build my brand around the verticals I mentioned earlier. So that's what I'm up to.
Definitely go follow Jordan. He's doing some cool shit for sure. Not big on plugging a personal brand, but if you want to connect on social media, I'm not Justin Bennet at Instagram. It's just a new personal account right now. And honestly, just huge shout out to Will. Just being in this house with you, man, has been so valuable. You're such a genuine guy. Any opportunity that you get, there's no shallow conversations with you, and it's awesome. You read my energy, you're like, what's going on? And then it's, there's not just a little bit off. It's like, what's up? What can we change? How can we do it? What's the strategy? You're so on it all the time. And it's no surprise to me at all, the success you've had and the time you've had. And also in the future, when I see you in 5 years and you're, XYZ further, it won't be a surprise at all, because you live and breathe this shit, man. And you're a super high value guy. So nothing but gratitude for you, man, and thanks for this opportunity. I appreciate you.
Damn, respects, boys. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a blast. You guys crushed the pod.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked. that you guys came out here.
Yeah.
We got a good combo in, and lots of combos going on behind the scenes as well. That's wish we could capture everything, but I think we got some good stuff down here.
Got it.
100%.